you ever been scrolling through Instagram, landed on someone's feed, and it was absolutely breathtakingly gorgeous? The colors, the fonts, the style, the photo edits, everything just looked like it had this cohesive branded look. And it made you just want to follow them, to get more of their content. You just felt completely excited about finding such a beautiful profile. I'm going to show you how you can do that for real estate, because let's be honest, if you don't have a curated profile, you might end up looking like everybody else, and when that happens, you get lost in the shuffle. And if your goal is to use social media to attract new clients, well, having a really clear branded aesthetic is part of that process. And I'm going to show you my 5 tips on how you can make that happen. Step number 1, brand buckets. It is so important to have a well-rounded brand on Instagram. And the way that you do that is by searching for things outside of real estate that you can use to connect with your audience. So for realtors, it might be cooking if you're a home chef, or it might be staging or interiors that you love to share with your audience. It can be behind the scenes, inspiring quotes, market stats. You want to develop 5 to 9 brand buckets to rotate through on your feed so that you can create this story about who you are, and this gives your audience a better chance to connect with you on one of those points. So for example, if one of your points is home cooking, well, the person who also loves to cook or just loves seeing you cook is going to create a connection with you, and they're more likely to call you because of that element. If all you're doing on social media is posting about real estate, you are cutting off a huge audience that might want to connect with you on a much deeper level. So it's always good to throw in some element that's outside of real estate into your brand buckets. It doesn't mean that you have to share all of your personality. If you don't feel comfortable with that, you can definitely keep things private, but the goal is to have a well-rounded feed so that people can meet you where you're at on a variety of different points. So a good example of 5 to 9 brand buckets for a realtor might be open houses, listings, market stats, inspiring quotes, FAQs, behind the scenes. I love behind the scenes. It really shows an aspect of real estate that really lets us connect with your process. So that's a really good one. Dream spaces, listings, about me, and some of your favorite things. So the favorite things category is anything that you feel that you're an expert in outside of real estate. It might be hunting for the perfect vintage find. It might be beauty. It might be shoes. It's just the sky's the limit. Whatever your thing is, you can share that with your audience, and then that gives them the ability to connect with you on that deeper level. So once you have your 5 to 9 categories that you're going to continuously rotate through on your feed, it's time to lay out your grid. Okay, step number 2, layout. So now that you have your 5 to 9 brand buckets, how do you lay it out? So this is the tricky part. You want to find a really great balance on your feed so that there is equal parts real estate mixed with your personal brand elements or your favorite things or something that's not directly related to just listed or just sold. Have you ever landed on someone's feed and it was every single property that they've ever sold and that's it? And you didn't really know how to connect. You didn't know what they were about. This is a perfect example of how you can create this dynamic profile by actually shifting between or rotating between your brand buckets. So if one day you're posting real estate, the next day you can post something personal. You might want to post a family member or something to do with why you do what you do. If you're rotating through your 5 to 9 buckets and never using 2 of those categories side by side, you should be starting to notice that your layout will be really dynamic and really visually appealing. So if you're not a wizard and you can't figure out how to put together your grid in your mind, then I would suggest using an external app, and there are free options and paid options. I personally use Plan and love it. They offer analytics, and it's just a really great way to visually see, to put your feed together visually before you commit to it on Instagram. So that's Plan, and if you want a free version, it's called Preview, and we're going to link to both of those below. Step number 3, color. This is probably the easiest way that you can create a cohesive looking feed with very little effort. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to choose 2 to 3 different colors and stick to them no matter what. And what you're going to do next after you've chosen those 2 to 3 colors is rotate between them. So if one day you're using dark gray, the next day you're using white, the next day you're using taupe, those are your 3 colors, and you want to rotate between them. You never want to have 2 blacks beside each other, because what it will do is create this uneven look to your feed. So always make sure that you're rotating between colors as well as content. So these are things to consider, and the apps that we mentioned before are really going to help you with that. If you're not sure what colors you want to use, or you have no idea where to start, we have a few resources below. But also, you can head over to DIYbrandquiz.com, and that'll give you access to a 10-page guide that also has color palette inspiration in it, so you're completely covered there. And number 4, consistency. Being consistent is so important. So what you want to do, that now that you have your 5 to 9 categories, your color, your aesthetic, what you want to do is make sure that you keep these things consistent across the board, meaning on all social media platforms. When you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, wherever you are, and especially in your marketing as well, creating a cohesive look throughout all of your marketing will make it easier for your audience to identify you and in turn know, like, and trust you, which is exactly what is required for them to take the first step and call you to sell their home. If this sounds like a lot of work, don't worry, we've got you covered. If you head over to shop4thstreetcreative.com, we have a wide variety of templates available for you to use right away. They're drag and drop, they're beautiful, and all you have to do is change the colors and the fonts to match your brand style, and you're good to go.